Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so much has been said about James Harden's struggles on the basketball floor with the Brooklyn Nets to start this season. He's not being as efficient as we know him to be, to say the least. He's really missing a lot of shots, struggling to adjust to what appear to be the new emphasis on the rules about drawing fouls and shooters basically being able to kick their legs and do different various things to draw fouls. Okay, so at this point, you're looking at James Harden. You're saying, "Oh, is he falling off? Is Father Time catching up? Is he going to be able to adjust to these rules? Did these rules effectively neutralize his game, etc., etc.?" Listen, James Harden is one of the top offensive players ever. Definitely one of the top offensive players of his generation. The type of numbers he puts up are rivaling some of the great stat lines you'll ever see in the history of the sport in terms of triple doubles, high scoring triple doubles, high assist triple doubles, coupled with high scoring situations. Understand, if he did, in fact, figure out the old rules to the point where they needed to change the rules because he manipulated them, do understand that he can figure out whatever is next in regards to what types of technical things he'll need to adjust to. He figured out what they had in place to basically to manipulate it and put himself in a position to be called for fouls more so than anyone else. That means that he figured something out that arguably no one else could. And and they had to redefine what they did to keep him from taking advantage of it. People who discover loopholes don't genuinely have issues adapting. That's what I know. They discover loopholes. That's what they do. They look at what your patterns are and they pick them apart independently with their own thoughts and with their own algorithms or however they figure out what you put in place for all of us not to figure out. You understand what I'm saying? James Harden's gonna be fine. Not only is he gonna be fine, I don't think it's going to take long for him to adapt. See, I stopped questioning James Harden's ability to adapt when he got to the Nets and showed us that he's not the player that he'd been for the last 8 years in Houston. Do you know how difficult that is? To literally change your DNA to fit what the team needs when the last system you had been in for 8 years had it so that you did literally everything? This man essentially went from being Iverson to then stepping in Jason Kidd's role and doing it at a Hall of Fame level. Not many players can do that, man. You understand what I'm saying? Not many players can do that. That's like one of those strange anomaly things, like Magic Johnson playing the center position in Game 7 and going for like 40 and 15 or whatever. As the center. When the center, the greatest center of all time, arguably, if not arguable at all, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was out in the game-clinching NBA Finals Series game. Mind you, this player was a point guard. The point guard was asked to play center in the championship game. And he did it at an MVP level that day so that they could clinch the championship on the road. So when people talk about Magic Johnson, I just want to make sure that it's very clear that he did this in his rookie season. Now, mind you, that's how unique what I think James Harden was able to do in terms of, not on the same level in terms of what was on the line, but in terms of being able to turn the switch on and doing something just incredibly impossible at a level that you're not even supposed to be expected to do it at. Because that's what happened when he got to the Nets and was able to facilitate that team in such a way that made him look like the best point guard arguably in the basketball last year. So, James Harden is a scientist. I've said this on this camera once before, and I'll say it again. He is a scientist. When it comes to the game of basketball, he's a scientist. He will figure it out. That's what he's proven. When he was in OKC as a rookie, do you know what he did? He played the backup role, and he was the facilitator for that team. That's what he did. His very first role was make sure that Russell Westbrook, Reggie Jackson, and Kevin Durant glue. That's what he did. And if I'm not mistaken, he won 6 man doing it. And they got to the finals. Then he went to the Houston Rockets. Nobody knew he was a star, and he turned into what it is I just described. Arguably the best ISO player ever, not named Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Okay? Then, of course, as I described, he ended up in Brooklyn, where he was asked to immediately go from that to the facilitator, for which he did, as I said, at an extremely high level. So let's not play games with James Harden's name. I understand it's real cute to do so because of the bloopers that he had early on in his career with the defensive side of the ball. It's very cute to make fun of him, you know, but do not play games with his name as if you don't understand exactly what it is he can do. Because I've just described to you as best I could how unique what he was able to do actually was, and compared it to Michael Magic Johnson, because in theory, he was asked to put on different skin, more or less, put on a different role, and he did it at a supreme level with high stakes. So don't worry about him adjusting to these fouls. He will adjust to the fouls. He'll have to go back to his old days before he was taking advantage of the rules that he learned to adapt to taking advantage of when he got to the league, mind you. Think about it. Because he wasn't doing all that stuff that drew all those fouls before he got to the league, because the rules in basketball when he was a kid were not like the ones he was able to take advantage of when he got to the league. See what I'm saying? They changed the rules for certain players, right? They do. Shaq, they changed the rules for him. Steph Curry kind of adjusted the rules a little bit for him. Allen Iverson, carry rules. They adjusted the rules for him. They adjusted this rule for James Harden. But unlike those other guys used their natural ability to take advantage of the rules to the point where they had to change the rule because they were able to abuse that rule. James Harden didn't have a natural ability. He just saw something and figured it out and then exploited it repeatedly, making them look stupid to the point where they had to change the rule because of it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So, yeah, don't worry about James Harden's ability to adapt. Worry about how you guys are going to adapt to him when he does. Because that's how that actually is going to work, especially since he's playing next to KD, and we know who KD is. So I still worry about the Nets, even though I don't think they have the strongest team in the world without Kyrie Irving. I still worry about them greatly because at the end of the day, I know who's on that team. Those two. Scientists. So that's really what I got, man. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching.